Well, we got an NBA Hall of Famer waiting on hold. We'll bring him in right now. The 7-year-old me is freaking out right now, Lindsay. NBA Hall of Famer Tracy McGrady is here. He's also the brainchild, the founder of the OBL, the Women's Basketball League. Will be kicking off their finals here in Henderson at the Dollar Loan Center starting tomorrow at 5 p.m. And then Saturday, the $250,000 finals kicks off at 8 p.m. Special performance by Busta Rhymes. So... yeah, Busta's going to be in the building, Lindsay.
I wasn't aware of this.
Lindsay did not know. All Insider calls are powered by BetQL. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download your BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com.
Tracy McGrady, a legend, one that we probably haven't had at one of your stature on this program. So excited that you're taking the time to join us and to kind of celebrate a culmination of a process for you, because this is the finals of the Women's Basketball League. How has that journey been so far?
Journey has been fun. It's nothing short of excitement. I tell you, when you can, reach out to some guys you never heard of, just unknown players, and give them an opportunity of a lifetime to be on this platform, and they don't let you down with their skill level because I believed in these guys just by watching videos. This season has overexceeded my expectations of what I expected in my vision. So we're excited to be here this weekend. Someone is going home $250,000 richer, I tell you.
Nah, that's absolutely incredible. And Tracy, like I said before we brought you on, I've seen it from the jump since you've been with the Magic. And I kind of want to start from the beginning of your journey, being in Auburndale in between Orlando and Tampa. And obviously, Florida, first and foremost, is a football state. Your senior year, you pop into the scene. You transfer to North Carolina. You're playing against the top teams in the country, the McDonald's All-American game. You're away from your family, though, and you're getting this hype. All these NBA teams, all these colleges, Adidas, everyone's interested in you. You get the $12 million from Adidas, so you go into the NBA with a bigger bag from them than your actual NBA check. So my question to you, Tracy, is how did you stay hungry? And did some of the vets kind of keep you on track as you entered the league at such a young age?
I think, at an early age, I really knew what I wanted to do. And that was either be an NBA player, be a Major League Baseball player. I was great at all three sports as a kid. But once basketball took off, my dream was to make it to the NBA. And as a kid, you got all your friends in the neighborhood, and these guys are outside, they're playing, they're doing this, and, chasing girls and doing all this stuff to distract you from, what your goal is, right? What the destination is. I think one thing that I learned from my grandmother is just to have patience and really the importance of, knowing what you want in life. And that was me being on a boat, with my grandmother on a Saturday morning, 6 o'clock to 6 p.m. Like, she used to have me out there, and I never could really understand, why I can't go and play with my friends. My friends are all out here having a good time. I'm out here with my grandmother on the lake for 12 hours fishing. But it just brought a sense of peacefulness, patience, and really understanding the importance of what I wanted out of life. And, that's being a NBA player. And so when the time come to where, as I got older and my guys are out doing whatever, I'm home, I'm watching film, or I'm in the gym. Like, I had to sacrifice a lot coming up because that's what I wanted to do. So I didn't let anything deviate me off of my course of making it to the NBA.
Sounds like your grandmother gave you a crash course in just being okay with not doing what everybody else is doing, and that's hard because that goes with the ebbs and flows of your childhood, of your adolescence, and some of those things are basically happening simultaneously because you spent some time in Toronto before you ended up in Orlando. And yesterday we were talking with Trista Crick of the Heat Check. I'm sure you know her. And we talked a little bit about the Orlando Magic and the culture down there. And that's really when your career took off after some years in the league. And so I wanted to ask you how you were able to take those steps early on, that patience that you're talking about, and what advice you would offer to like Paolo Banchero and some of the other young talents on that roster that are trying to establish their own footing.
Yeah, I think for me, And with these guys, so this is to answer your question and for the advice as well to these kids. But I think the number one thing is support system, right? You got to have a strong and loyal support system. And I'm not talking about the support system that, your buddies hanging around you and they coming to you, hey, Paolo, Mac, I got us 6 bottles at the club Friday night. Then they come the next night, hey, Mac, I got us, a section at this spot, Saturday night, and it's going to be a bunch of girls there. Nah, that's what you have to stay away from. But if you got a support system and your guys come to you and be like, Mac, what time we working out in the morning? Now, those are the type of people you want around you. So it starts with the support system and guys, being there to add value to you and help elevate you as the basketball player, because you are the breadwinner, right? So it starts with that. And then it's on you to really just stay locked in and knowing, where you want to go and how great you want to be as a basketball player. And that is knowing you have to sacrifice some of those things, right? Only really hanging out when time, when leisure time is available. Other than that, you should be in the gym, you should be taking care of your body, and you should be studying film.
And Tracy, speaking of Orlando, I'd like to ask you, because Grant Hill just came out with a new book. I just finished reading it, brought back a lot of old memories. And I know you guys get asked a lot about the infamous dinner where Doc Rivers tells Tim Duncan, when Tim Duncan was a free agent, that no spouses aren't allowed. But I want to ask you, specifically, if I'm right on this path that I always thought. So if Tim signs with the Magic, right, you and Tim can run the show, and Grant Hill doesn't have to necessarily rush back and kind of gets back in proper rest and coming back from that injury healthy, right?
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the most all-time drop balls, by I don't know if it was organization. I don't know if it was Doc Rivers, but I do know that was the case of him not signing due to the spouse not being able to travel. But come on, man. I mean, we're talking about Tim Duncan. And he had won a championship at that time, right?
99, right, with the Knicks.
Yeah, 99.
First Knicks.
He had won coming off of winning a championship, wants to come down to Orlando and team up with Grant Hill. I was really a throw-in. I was recruited third out of those guys, rightfully so. But, I mean, you add T-Mac, what I was able to become in Orlando and who Tim Duncan was, allow Grant Hill to take his time on coming back. I mean, you're talking about a historic big three that could have done some incredible things together.
It's a lot of what ifs there that I'm sure you revisit over the course of your career. I mean, not just in the personnel decisions with the organizations that you've been involved with, but the personal decisions that you make about your career and what's best for you. Because I feel like we all toe a fine line of personal empowerment and entitlement in our everyday lives. Like, what am I doing? What's my purpose? Is this the best thing for me? Where do you think the culture of basketball is at with this personal and collective ongoing conversation?
Yeah, I think these guys are really taking the power in their own hands and, doing things for themselves. I don't like to see it. I understand it because, the media puts so much pressure on guys to win NBA championships. And it's like these guys would listen to the media saying that, if you don't win a championship, that your career is not valid. Like, that is far from the truth. I didn't even make it out of the first round, but I'm one of the most polarized players, that that came through our era. I mean, there's nowhere I can go and not be recognized. You know what I'm saying? So it's everybody can't win a championship. That starts from the top, from the ownership, to management and selecting the personnel, and then the players got to go out and do their job. I was never fortunate enough to have that in my career, and when I did get that, I blew out my knee. But these players are doing their own thing and taking the power back, and they're putting pressure on, these organizations to make things happen. You look at what James Harden did in Houston, look at what he did in Brooklyn, look at what KD's doing right now, and KD has 4 years left on his deal. So these guys are making moves, man.
Well, I also think, going back to the Tim Duncan, he was so early in his career and he was a free agent. And even in your era, usually it was only a big two. There wasn't that cap space to be able to come up with the three dudes. But one thing I almost forgot to ask you, Tracy, and I don't know if you heard, but the comments that Chris Broussard said about Toronto in regards to KD going to the Raptors and what he said about the city of Toronto. Did you hear this?
I heard that he threw my name in there about that's why I left or something about Toronto not being able to live up there.
So here, this is the quote that Chris Broussard said. He said, "Toronto's great city, but it's not America. And you feel it when you're there. I'm telling you, especially as an African American, it's a different situation than African Americans are used to being in. Obviously, you started your professional career in Toronto. So if you had a rebuttal to those comments that Chris Broussard had, what would you say?"
There would be some. He would have some weight to his comments if that was back in 1998, 99, not 2000, not 22. Like, the infrastructure in Toronto is totally different than when I was playing there. And if it, and the impact Drake has had on that city. So had it been what it is today, for as far as the infrastructure, as far as how much the game has grown in Toronto or throughout Canada, maybe my decision of leaving probably would have been different, but it was not like that, when I was playing in Toronto and making my decision. Beautiful city, great town, but at that moment, at that present time when I was there, no, I wouldn't have been a player that I say I can stay here in Toronto. But now, no, my mind has definitely changed because all the changes that they've made to that city.
I love going down memory lane with you here, Tracy. I'm sure Adrian has 1,001 questions about just your legacy and all the things that you could have done and you have done. But we got to talk about the OBL. And I was reading some of your interview that you did with CNBC, and you said, "I've always invested in other people's ideas and other people's vision. Not once did I ever trust mine. I didn't have the confidence to think that mine was good enough. I didn't trust my ideas or decision making when it came to that vision." I mean, there's always that moment, right? Not like the light bulb moment, but when your trust clicks in for the first time, it's like the most potent time, at least I think. How did that moment come about for you and really get you to that point where you get that feeling, I'm not only going to conquer the world, but I have a bone marrow deep belief that I can do it?
Yeah. So the thing is, it's like, we have opportunities that come to us throughout life. And the one thing, that when you're preparing for something, you want to make sure that you're ready for it. Like when the opportunity presents itself, you want to make sure that you're ready to take on that challenge, right? And we just don't know when that opportunity is going to come. I didn't know that when I was in the 11th grade and I was an unknown player outside of the state of Florida, and this guy comes down and gives me an invite to the Adidas camp to participate on this platform that's a nationally ranked high school basketball camp for elite players. Like, I didn't know that the opportunity was going to present itself, but I had to make sure that I was ready for that opportunity, because that could have passed me by, and who knows what would have happened to me in the start of my basketball career. That right there really jump-started, who I was as a basketball player, because I got on this platform and I was able to hold my own, play against the nationally ranked players, and I became the number one player in the country in high school my senior year. So going back to your question, is like, I've been investing in so many other people's ideas, and it all just came back full circle. What is my passion? Like, what am I passionate about? And it's the game of basketball. Like, that's my life. I eat, I breathe basketball, I sleep basketball. So it was like, okay, this is something, this is my lane, this is what I know, this is what I want to tap into and invest, in other people, and also, but the first time, invest in myself and my vision.
This is that was powerful stuff right there. I feel like I was in the locker room right there, Tracy. I swear. Yo, and by the way, this weekend, so like we said, semifinals on Friday, tomorrow starting at 5 p.m. Championship, $250,000 on the line for one lucky person. Saturday night, 8 p.m. in Henderson, the new Dollar Loan Center. Plus, you can stream it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at OBL Hoops. And I don't want to be controversial with this question, Tracy, but I'm just wondering, in this creating OBL, was there ever a thought or a process to team up with Ice Cube and the Big Three to kind of have a 3v3 portion and a 1v1? And obviously, owning your own stuff is completely different, so I understand that. But I'm curious, was there ever a thought or a conversation?
No, there was never a conversation about it. And, I've always supported the Big Three. I love what Ice Cube has done. even went to a couple of the Big Three games. But there was never a conversation for us to team up or join and create something together. No, not at all.
Well,
And that's not controversial. No, it's not.
Well, collaboration breeds creativity. That's what I like to live my life by. And it's always good to, like you say, support the game. This is what you have made your life's work. And to stomp out or not consider anybody else that's trying to make something within that environment as well is pretty much counterintuitive. But you say that this is something that's going to cater to a lot of young audience, a lot of the Gen Z audience. Is it about focusing on that individual artistry that it takes to get the ball in the hoop rather than the collective strategy? It's kind of like first person versus third person point of imagination, right?
You know what? Speaking of the Gen Zers, listen, when you said that, my eyes lit up. Because that is a big reason why I created OBL. I have 16-year-old, I have a 13-year-old, and I can't get my kids to sit down and watch a live sporting event to save my life. They will sit down for 5 minutes and then they out of there. But they love short form content. Like, that's all my kids watch. And for me, it's happening to that audience and really embracing it. And that's why I started my league out digitally, because that is our audience, 18 to 34. And this is what, everybody is really going to. Everything is on our phone, right? These kids are not watching television no more. Everything is on our phone. So that was a big reason for OBL, the creation of it. I used to work for ESPN for 4.5 years, guys. And when I tell you, my sons knew I was going to watch Steph Curry and LeBron James compete in the NBA Finals, and they didn't care about joining me not one time. The first OBL regional tournament we had was in Houston. My kids went, and they haven't missed one yet. Like, they love it. It speaks to them. They identify with these players, and it's just amazing thing that is going on right now. I don't know if that answered your question, but I just had to say that.
Well, and I'm going to say it again, Saturday night, the grand finals, 8 p.m. at the Dollar Loan Center. And my last question here that I wanted to ask you about, and I'm happy that you have this platform, because when I think about the game of basketball in general, like, when you look at executives, there's very few James Joneses, meaning veterans of the league that are now in front office positions, because now it's a lot of, well, what Ivy League school did you go to and how young you are, et cetera, et cetera. And then with the game of basketball itself, like, you're the perfect story for this, because you got the invite to go to the Adidas camp. You went from 175 to the #1 prospect. And it seems like now more and more, those kids that grinded and came from the parks and from one-on-one games, like, they're getting less and less opportunities and chances to make it to the league, which is why I'm so happy that you've created this platform to give these people. But am I right in that thinking of, like, the game's changing where some people are kind of getting pushed out from getting opportunities?
It is changing, and also it's changing on a collegiate level as well. I've talked to some of these guys in my league, and basically what it boils down to, some of these guys get frustrated with, how the league is really treating them, because, you come from the college level and you have the ball in your hands. You're the man for your team. But when you come on the NBA level, they take the ball out of your hands. So whatever your training that you're doing with your trainer every single day, your whole life, you've been trained in a certain way, it's not conducive to the role that your coach is putting you in. And that is frustrating to these players, and they get depressed. They start questioning their ability. And then, before you know it, these guys are out of the league. And that is happening all across the board. And I have those conversations with some of these guys. And on the collegiate level, if you look at, the portal that these guys have, it's over 1,000 players in the portal. So as a college coach or as a recruiter, why am I going to go to recruit an 18-year-old high school guy who's inexperienced when I could go into this portal and get a 21, 22 experienced guy that knows how to, conduct themselves, and I know what I'm going to get out of him. And a lot of these high school guys are getting pushed away because of the portal and the experienced guys that's inside this portal. So I feel bad for a lot of these guys.
Well, and so much of athletics, Tracy, is about generating profit and eyeballs and everything else rather than providing that environment that we've been talking about with you over the course of the last 20 minutes of support, that network, and creating better human beings through the game rather than better players through the game. But again, we appreciate you so much for sharing your time, your story with us today, Tracy. We really appreciate those driven visionaries that go after things and then give back and enable those who are following in their footsteps.
Yeah, I thank you guys. It's been a pleasure, and hopefully you guys come out this weekend and check OBL out.
Hell
No,
yeah.
for sure.
We'll stay hydrated too. You do the same. It's hard to do.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
There it is, NBA Hall of Famer. I can't believe that just happened, Lindsay. I'm going to be honest with you. All Insider Calls are powered by BetQL. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download your BetQL app today or visit BetQL.com.
What a great time to be alive. Time to go down the deep dive.